Nvidia didn't screw you over. Taco Bell wants you to eat nothing, and AMD making a huge change. Let's get into the hot news, everybody. I'm your host, Brett. We're going to be going over the hottest tech news that I can find across the internet. So before we get into it, why don't you hit the like button with the ferocity of 1,000 hot newses? I know that's a lot, all right? You might break YouTube, but if you can do that, it means a lot for the YouTube algorithm, and you potentially get subscribed and all of that good stuff. But let's talk about the top story today, which is Nvidia has won the lawsuit. And by that, I mean they didn't lose the lawsuit because investors came against them and said, hey, Nvidia, you lied about Bitcoin mining. And Nvidia was like, no, we disclosed everything. You shut your mouths. Okay, we didn't do that. And the investor said, hey, we don't believe you. Give us $1 billion. To which the judge said, no, Nvidia, what? That's my reenactment of the court case. Essentially, what it boils down to is the judge saying that there wasn't enough evidence to substantiate the case, and so it's getting thrown out of court. The big thing here was that back in 2017, it was alleged that Nvidia was underreporting some of the money that they knew was going towards crypto mining farms, and saying instead that it came from gamers in order to make it look like their business wasn't lopsided. However, I think it's a very good thing to keep in mind that if it's all bought at retail channels, it's actually kind of hard for Nvidia to keep track of which sales go where, and that actually be a software thing that they'd have to do after the fact with like GeForce Now or tracking drivers, and it would get super complicated and would make it really difficult. So the fact that they knew it all went to miners and that they lied about it probably didn't happen. So Nvidia on the up and up there, but Intel is on the down and down because a jury just came out and said that they owe $2.18 billion for patent infringement to a company known as VLSI Technology, which some people are alleging is just basically a zombie company that buys out patents and then sues companies and essentially gets them to pay. Well, it turns out that at least in this case, the Texas jury is finding that Intel does need to pay that money, but Intel not happy with that, saying that they're not done fighting. And in their arguments, they said that VLSI took 2 patents off the shelf that hadn't been used for 10 years and said, we'd like $2 billion. The outrageous demand by VLSI would tax the true innovators. That doesn't say that Intel didn't violate the patent, it just says that, hey, we shouldn't be responsible to anybody for violating the patent. Intel obviously going to fight it, especially since that amount is for 1/10 of Intel's yearly profits, so don't expect them to be paying up anytime soon. But the jury decided that, hey, Intel, you owe money, and the SEC is determining that AT&T might owe some money for breaking the law when they tried to game the stock market, sort of, by just basically releasing, according to the SEC, some details that were non-public information with regards to how things were going in the phone market back in 2016, and they did this to sow doubt in investors so that by the time AT&T came out with their bad numbers, the investors would be like, oh, you beat our worst numbers that we thought you were gonna hit. And so it's fine. AT&T saying that they didn't do anything that wasn't okay. The SEC asking for money. You pay the fine, okay? You did a violation, you owe us $1. Which is what's happening to the cloud gaming service provider Shadow. They apparently owe a lot of money to their server provider, around 30 million euro, which they are not able to pay at the moment. So they are claiming bankruptcy at this point, or rather declaring bankruptcy, because you can't just claim it, you have to declare it.
I declare bankruptcy!
The main thing here, the company behind Shadow is saying that they were a victim of its own success. They released a press release on their website essentially saying that they had too many people using their service, which made it so that they had too much server infrastructure. That just means that they weren't profitable and they didn't have enough investor capital to keep everything going. So they're now going to try to fix that. And YouTube's going to try to fix how much you're paying to the US in taxes. And this is a very important story if you are a YouTuber outside of the US, because YouTube is going to be restructuring how your AdSense deal goes down. So I'll leave links in the video description as always for you to check out and inform yourself in case you are a YouTuber who earns money from AdSense but don't reside in the US. So essentially, according to the information that Google put out, they are saying that they are now going to have to withhold tax on the money that was earned from viewers within the US. If you are without the US, you now will have that money withheld by Google upfront for the views that you have from the US and all of that. They actually released a video, which again is linked in the video description, about how you find out how much specifically that is. You can narrow it down to your revenue from the US by itself, and they're just withholding tax on that portion, not the entirety. However, if you're a majority US channel, then it could potentially hurt you. This is not affecting US based creators, and there's certain ways where this is not necessarily such a big deal depending on where you're at, such as with Canada, where they have tax treaties where it's going to be 0%, but then other places might not have a tax treaty and it could be up to 30%. However, if you don't put in your tax info with Google's AdSense, then they're gonna withhold 24% of your total earnings, not just the US viewer earnings. That's the key thing to take away here, and it could potentially impact a lot of channels, so be sure to check into that, my friends. And you don't need to check into the iMac Pro because it's discontinued. Good segue, Brett. I love that. And I love the GameStop Bitcoin update. Bitcoin, $54,000. Huge, big money. Back over a $1 trillion market cap, 5% up in 1 hour. It's kerchewing to the moon, guys. And you know what else did? GameStop did, yeah, up 26.9%. It's down a little bit in after hours, but don't pay attention to that. Closing at $246.90 when it opened at $194. GameStop blowing up again. GameStop Bitcoin update, making you rich enough to not worry about the taxes that YouTube's gonna withhold from you now. And you figure a company that has enough money like Warner Media with HBO Max that they would have figured out that when you click on Tom and Jerry, you're not asking to see the Snyder Cut of Justice League, which isn't even out yet. But that's apparently what happened a couple days ago with the Snyder Cut coming out on March 18th. If you clicked on Tom and Jerry for a few minutes, you could watch the Snyder Cut in certain regions. It's not gonna be good. I like the idea that they're releasing the Snyder Cut on a streaming service, but nothing could save that movie. That Justice League movie was bad, and I expect it with the Snyder Cut, it'll become mediocre. I'm willing to be proven wrong, but I don't trust that the fact that Zack Snyder is all of a sudden gonna save the Justice League. Nothing could save DC. I'm not gonna go into that, Brent. And nothing could save you from Twitch if they determine that you're not a brand safe creator. There's some new information coming out about a Twitch internal API that finds that Twitch is rating the Twitch streamers to find out how brand safe they are and whether or not they're gonna show advertisement on that. The score is gonna be impacted by the streamer's age, a rating given by the Twitch staff, their ban history, the relationship the streamer has with Twitch, their auto mod settings, their partnership status, and the ESRB rating of the game being played, and whether the stream is set to mature. A lot of that makes sense. I think the thing that's kind of bugging people about this is the fact that Twitch staff has some input on this, which, I mean, Twitch is not necessarily the most forthcoming company when it comes to how they're doing things behind the scenes. And so it's kind of scary in the eyes of their creators that you're giving some power over revenue streams to people that actually just don't blatantly care about disclosing what the hell they're doing. Why do we still not have an answer for why Dr. Disrespect was banned? It's been how many months? He was your biggest part. Again, not going into that brand. We'll get into a deep rant sometime soon. Microsoft sometime soon is gonna let you know what they're doing with Bethesda because they're announcing that on Thursday. They're gonna give some details on what's going on with that now that the ZeniMax purchase has gone through, but saying that some of the new Bethesda titles will be exclusive to Xbox and PC, which my friend Alessandro Barbosa says, of course, this was always the plan. They spent $7.5 billion. Why wouldn't they make it exclusive? And why wouldn't I want augmented reality in my car? Probably because I don't trust that it's gonna work well, but Audi is showing off the Q4 E-Tron's new augmented reality display, which is slightly different than a heads-up display in a way that I can appreciate, where it's going to dynamically put information on the road in front of you, but kind of aligning with what's happening on the road and not just in a fixed spot on your windscreens. You can see here that it's showing with a line how far or close you're following to the car in front of you, your navigation stuff, all of that. It's slightly like a heads-up display, but just more movie. Not like a movie, but like it moves. I'm sorry. But I'm not sorry for this. This is a Brant alert. Okay, Catlin, give everybody the Brant alert because this bugs me.
Please get that on YouTube where I can curate it to something I want to see. You're at bullcrap Hollywood.
I am irresponsibly irritated at what this article is. So in case you haven't heard of a technology known as NFTs, they're known as non-fungible tokens, fungible being the word for replicating stuff, so you cannot replicate these tokens. It's a big thing that's happening in the world where people are trying to monetize the crap out of this, okay? Taco Bell is monetizing their crap on this crap, and they're making some non-fungible tokens. In Taco Bell GIF format, these animated GIFs are being sold on Rarible so that you can potentially pay a lot of money to just get these randomized GIFs that are put on the internet so your GIFs can be stored forever. But this one right now is going for a bid of $3,646, which is just absolutely insane. And then you also have things like Jack Dorsey is selling off the NFT of his first tweet, and it's currently at a $2.5 million bid right here, as you can see right there. And okay. Non-fungible tokens are good as tokens. They are not the thing that's being sold. An NFT of the tweet means that you have no ownership of the tweet. Twitter is not giving you access and primary ownership of the server space on which Jack's first tweet lies, and nobody is owning the jive of what Taco Bell is giving you. You don't own that. You don't own the digital medium, which bugs me to no end. You're not selling art, you're selling a token, you're selling a commemorative to all of this, which just, I understand NFTs fundamentally, but I don't understand NFTs as it relates to the culture surrounding them and why people think that they're worth anything besides the commemoration aspect of things. You don't own the thing that you're buying an NFT for. You own a token of the thing that the thing represents, and you can unlock the jive with the token. That's the general idea. But guess what? It's the internet. I get the jive too, okay? I'm fundamentally frustrated by the fact that people are either trying to or misunderstanding the fact that we are commoditizing the reproducible nature of the internet and the diversification and just how everything is spread out and not necessarily, it's decentralized, right? That's what the internet is. And what NFTs are like pushing themselves as are like a centralized sale of something that happened, but you can't do that because it's the internet. You don't own that thing. Twitter still owns the tweet. Okay, brant over. I'm not gonna go further into that. I'll slightly brant on Google Voice continuing to shut down. They are no longer going to forward text messages to other numbers, so you gotta work that out if you're using text message forwarding on Google Voice, kind of get that solved. So brant over, let's get into something good, something positive. I really like this video of somebody who flew a drone into a bowling alley. I know it sounds boring, but holy heck, is it some good flight work. You should totally watch the video. We'll leave a link in the video description, and we'll leave a link in the video description talking about AMD and how they are preparing crypto mining cards. Not to be outdone by Nvidia, they are apparently launching their own lineup according to some new details that are coming out, with them being Navi 12 GPUs, or essentially the RX 5000 series rather than the RX 6000 series. This kind of aligns with what Nvidia is doing as well, because Nvidia's mining cards are based on Turing and not necessarily Ampere at first, so it's going to be more of the previous generation. It's not taking away from the current production lines that are going on, but we don't know much besides the fact that there is a new Navi 12 SKU that potentially likely will be for mining, and we don't know pricing, we don't know release date, we don't know performance, but we know AMD is gonna copycat. And Kat, do you copy that this episode of Hot News is over? You should check out yesterday's episode right up here in that card right there. You can check out this other video where I ranted about somebody who said that the PS5 is making them hate PC gaming over on UFD Tech. Watch that. You can get subscribed to Hot News, stay up to date on the hottest tech news that happens on the internet. I'll see you tomorrow, my friends. Cheers.